As Olga listened to her friends gushing about James, she couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions swirling inside her. While James's attention flattered her and the possibility of something more intrigued her, she felt hesitant and unsure. Dating someone like James seemed like a dream beyond her reach, something that belonged in the realm of fairy tales rather than her own life. He had secretly asked her for her phone number before they departed, but she didn't know if it was a good idea. She had to tell her friends about it. As she lay in bed that night, her mind kept wandering back to their conversation at the restaurant. She found herself replaying his words and gestures, trying to decipher the meaning behind them. Did he really like me? Or was he just being friendly and courteous? She wondered. As James drove away, leaving Olga and her friends at their apartment building, he couldn't shake off the feeling of warmth that had enveloped him during their time together. He found himself replaying their conversation in his mind, recalling Olga's shy smiles, Maggie's bubbly enthusiasm, and Raula's quiet but observant demeanor. It was a stark contrast to his usual corporate world, and he relished the authenticity of their interaction. Arriving at his villa, James greeted his friend William with a grin that he couldn't contain. "You won't believe the evening I've had," he began, pouring them both a drink. As he recounted the events of the night, William listened intently, raising his eyebrows in surprise at certain moments. "So, let me get this straight," William interrupted with a chuckle. "You, the big shot CEO, ended up having dinner with your employee and her friends? What will you do about your engagement with Jocelyn?" James laughed, nodding. "I know, it sounds absurd, but there's something different about Olga and her friends. They're genuine, down-to-earth people. It was refreshing, to say the least. As for the engagement, I will hide it from her until this project succeeds." William raised his glass in a toast. "Well, here's to unexpected encounters and genuine connections," he said with a smile. As they clinked their glasses together, James couldn't help but wonder what the future held. The next morning, Olga couldn't shake the feeling of anticipation that had settled over her. Every time she glanced at her phone, she half hoped to see a message from James. Yet part of her was afraid of what it might say. What if he had changed his mind about me? What if he was just being polite yesterday? But as the day wore on and no message came, Olga's hopes began to fade. Maybe it had all been a misunderstanding, she thought to herself. Maybe James wasn't interested in her after all. Just as she was about to give up hope, her phone buzzed with a new message. It was from James. "Hey, Olga, I had a great time with you and your friends yesterday. Would you like to grab dinner with me tonight?" Olga's heart skipped a beat as she read the message. Could this really be happening? Is James asking me out on a date? Without hesitation, she replied, "I would love to. Where should we meet?" "Don't worry about the place. At 6:30 p.m., I will pick you up." She hurried to Maggie's room to tell her the news. They were sleeping soundly. She screamed, pulling off the covers. "Maggie, Raula, please wake up. I have hot gossip." "Olga, please, it's Saturday." "Go back to sleep," Maggie said in a sleepy voice. "Maggie, it's about James, my boss. He asked me out for a date. In the evening, he'll come to pick me up." Maggie, who didn't want to wake up, finally jolted up screaming, which made Raula also wake up. "What? A date?" "Olga, we need to go shopping. You'll have to wear a beautiful dress for your first date. And then we will go to the salon to do your hair and nails. I will do your makeup. You need to look your best. Let me wake up and make breakfast. You and Raula are going to do the cleaning. Let's be fast enough." Raula looked sad, and Olga noticed. "What's wrong, Raula?" "Ladies, I have to go to work. I would love to be with you today, but I can't be late." Maggie sat down on the bed and held Raula's hand. "Raula, you don't have to sell yourself anymore. You have us now. And if you're afraid of how you'll live if you stop, you can move in with us. We will help you find a decent job to help your mother in the hospital, and we will deal with everything here. So from now on, don't go there again." "Really? Thank you so much. You've made me a completely different person." The trio shared an intimate hug. Then Maggie continued, "All right, ladies, enough. Let's head to work." Olga couldn't help but feel a surge of excitement coursing through her veins. Maybe, just maybe, this was the beginning of something special. She couldn't help but feel grateful for her friend's insistence on accepting his offer of a ride home. After all, it had led her to this moment, and she couldn't wait to see where it would take her next. In an hour, they were done tidying up the place. Maggie was done with the kitchen. They excitedly enjoyed their breakfast, talking about the shopping they were about to do. "Olga, we will help you choose the best dress ever. Well, we are poor, but we will manage." When they were done with breakfast, they headed to the shopping mall with prices that were flexible for them. As they browsed through racks of dresses, Olga felt a sense of gratitude wash over her. Their unwavering support and encouragement made her feel more confident about taking this next step with James. After trying on what seemed like a dozen dresses, Olga finally found the perfect one. A simple yet elegant black dress that accentuated her figure in all the right places. Maggie and Raula nodded in approval. Their smiles reflected Olga's own excitement. "Baby girl, you need high heels to kill the dressing. Let's go find a pair." With the dress and shoes sorted, they moved on to the salon, where Olga indulged in a pampering session that left her feeling like $1,000,000. The stylist expertly styled her hair into soft curls, while others skillfully painted her nails a subtle shade of pink. They had to hurry home so that she could prepare and dress up. Reaching their apartment, Maggie told Olga to take a shower. It was around 5:30 p.m. Olga hurried to the bathroom, while others waited for her in her room. At that time, they heard a knock on the door. They hurried to open it. It was Nick, James's secretary. He had a big cart and handed it to Maggie. "James wants her to put on that dress." Without wasting a second, he drove off. The two friends unwrapped the cart to see the dress, custom-made by a famous designer, tailored perfectly to show off every curve of the person wearing it. It was made from the best silk fabric, which hung beautifully and felt smooth against the skin. The color of the dress was a deep blue, like the sky at sunset. It went really well with Olga's skin, making her look even more beautiful and elegant. The design of the dress was a mix of classic and modern styles. It had a low neckline that made the person wearing it look confident and attractive. The top part of the dress was decorated with pretty lace and shiny crystals that sparkled when they caught the light. The shape of the dress was slim and sleek, with a tight waist that emphasized the person's curves. The skirt flowed down gracefully, pooling on the floor behind them, adding a touch of drama to the whole look. Maggie was speechless. "Raula, do you have any idea how much this dress costs? It could pay our rent for a year if we were to sell it. This dress is super expensive. It costs a lot of money. Thousands of dollars, in fact." Olga heard the shouting and went down to see what was happening. She couldn't believe what she was seeing. "Girls, what do you have there? Where did you get that dress?" They told her what had just happened, and she couldn't believe it. Raula realized that there were still other things in the cart. "Look, ladies, there was an expensive pair of black shoes, a necklace, and earrings." They helped her dress up. Everything was so expensive and unique. As they applied the finishing touches to her makeup, Olga couldn't help but marvel at how lucky she was to have such amazing friends by her side. Olga was incredibly stunning. She looked elegant and sexy in that dress. No man could take his eyes off her. By the time James arrived to pick her up, Olga was feeling more confident than ever. Maggie and Raula went down to open for him. He was dressed in a well-tailored suit with roses in his hands. As she descended the stairs to meet him, she couldn't help but notice the way his eyes lit up when he saw her. He couldn't believe his eyes. She was gorgeous. It was a small gesture, but it filled her with a sense of warmth and reassurance. "Olga, May I take a picture of you coming down? Please, he asked, with yearning in his eyes. Of course. James filmed her as she came down. He hugged her, gave her the roses, and made the way like a gentleman. Shall we? Olga shyly agreed and gave him her arm. James, without hesitation, crossed his arm with hers, and they went out of the house. The two friends were left speechless, admiring the two people. Wow, they look perfectly together,